Hi everyone, welcome to my second tutorial about atomic theory. In the previous section we discussed about how electrons were discovered using the cathode ray tube, and in this section we are going to look at how protons were discovered by a scientist called Rutherford. So Rutherford set up what we call a gold foil with alpha particles. So in this experiment he used the alpha particles and directed a beam of these particles through the gold foil, and his observations were a bit astonishing. First of all, you see that most of the alpha particles pass through the gold foil, meaning that the foil is completely empty, Then only a few of them were reflected. So if he wasn't so keen, he was going to miss this major point, but he was so keen about why these particles, these rays were directed back towards the alpha particle radiator. So as you know that alpha particles are positively charged, and protons are also positively charged, so there was a repulsion force between the positively charged particles in the gold foil and the alpha particles. So he concluded that an atom is completely made up of an empty space because most of the light passed through, but there is a small region that is positively charged, and these positive charged particles, he called them the protons, and the area where they are located, he called it the nucleus. So that's how he discovered the positively charged particles called protons. Then to go to the next section of the neutrons, the setup is quite similar with the neutrons. So the neutrons were discovered by a scientist called James Chadwick. So before he discovered this, when Rutherford discovered the protons, there was a gap in his discovery. So if the atom is made up of positive and negative charged particles, why is it that hydrogen has a proton and has one proton, and helium has two protons, but those two compounds weigh differently? They assume that since hydrogen has one proton and helium has two protons, it will be a 2-to-1 ratio in the weight of those two compounds, sorry, those two elements. But the truth was the helium had a ratio of 4-to-1 compared to hydrogen. So that means that there is another particle that contributes to the weight of an atom. So that's when Chadwick came with his experiment, and he used a beryllium sheath. Beryllium is an element, and he used a sheet of beryllium with alpha particles, just like how Rutherford did. But in his experiment, he was not looking at how the alpha particles pass through the sheet, but his observation was that there was a very high energy radiation that was given off, and this type of radiation was similar to the gamma rays. So we know that gamma rays are highly energy particles, and he discovered that these particles were a bit heavier than a proton, and these particles they had no charge. So he concluded that there is another subatomic particle that is called a neutron, and it is also found in the nucleus together with the proton. So that is how the three subatomic particles were discovered by the scientist. In this chapter was a bit dry, so because of the discoveries. Then in the next section we are going to look at the isotopes, mass number and atomic number, something which is a bit exciting. So tune in for my next video for Chemistry 1, atomic theory, and in the section of mass number, isotopes and atomic number. Thank you.